Imagine you are Mary of Nazareth, the mother of Jesus, not the figure on the gilded altarpiece, a woman of flesh and bone, 30 years old, in the year 12 A.D. You've brought 5 children into the world. Some didn't reach 5. The life expectancy of a rural woman in Galilee is 30 years. You are at the edge. We are in Nazareth, a village of 200 souls on a limestone hillside, 50 houses of stone and mud brick, 4 acres in total. No Roman road crosses it. No one remembers it yet. And this morning, before the sun breaks the horizon, you're awake. The first thing you feel is the floor under bare feet. Cold limestone. The same stone where your children sleep beside you, on the mastaba, the raised platform of the upper level of the house. Below you, on the lower level, the donkey and the 2 goats are breathing. Their warmth rises between the boards and brushes your calves. The smell of dung, hay, damp wool, the first note of the day. No alarm clock, no curtained window, only the neighbor's rooster, and the orange glow coming from the oil lamp you just coaxed awake with a breath. Flax wick, olive oil. The flame catches. It makes that barely audible crackle when the old flax soaks up the new oil. That crackle tells you it is time. Before the sun sets, you will have done all of this again. Like yesterday, like tomorrow, like every day of the 18 years married to Joseph. And one of those children sleeping beside you is a boy of 12. 3 months ago, during Passover, you lost him for 3 days in Jerusalem. His name is Jesus, and you don't know yet what he'll become. What you don't know yet is this. The bread your hands will knead this morning, a flat barley loaf, is the same bread that son, 20 years from now, will give another and weightier name, but that is later, much later. For the next 22 minutes, you will live an entire day in the life of Mary of Nazareth, not as the altarpieces paint it, not as the holy card tells it, as the body of a Jewish mother of 30 lived it, in the Galilee of the 1st century. 14 hours of physical labor, not one real rest, not one moment alone with yourself, no one to say thank you, and the detail that catechism never told you, the one that will change how you look at this woman, is in the hands, in what your hands do during the next 14 hours, over and over. The lamp is lit, now to the embers of the taboon, the clay oven in your small outer courtyard, a truncated cone the size of a drum, buried halfway into the earth. You stir the ash with an olive rod. Underneath, a red ember, still alive. You add dry dung, hard pellets of donkey and goat that you've been saving all week, and thin sprigs of broom. No, wood doesn't grow on these hills the way you imagine. Construction timber is expensive and scarce. Olive is reserved for beams and tools. For the daily fire, dung. That is what your kitchen burns, the same fuel that burned in your mother's kitchen, and your grandmother's. You blow gently. Smoke rises in threads, and the smell, that smell, enters the house and wakes your children without your having to call them. You kneel behind the stone, the quern, the grinding stone, 2 dark basalt discs, one fixed on a wooden base, the other movable, slightly smaller. Your mother-in-law brought them at the wedding. They came from a quarry north of the Sea of Galilee. You place a handful of grain in the central hole. Today it is barley, the wheat you save for feast days, for visitors, for Sabbaths. Barley is the grain of the poor, and you are poor, though you do not call it that, and you begin to turn. The upper stone grinds against the lower stone. The grain cracks, splits, mills. Fine flour spills from the edges and falls onto a white linen cloth spread underneath. 3 hours, sometimes 4, every day. To feed a family of 5, 3 hours of grinding are required. That is the number. Archaeologists who have rebuilt basalt querns and asked modern women to try the same work know it. 3 hours kneeling, back curved, arms repeating the same motion, every day of your life. The flour dust rises into your nostrils, sticks to your sweaty forehead, gets between your teeth. When you spit in the yard, you spit flour. When you cough flour. The older women in your village, those who reach it, drink water with honey to clear their throats before speaking. You are on your way to the same. And when you finish, you will have flour for 1 day. Tomorrow, you kneel again. By the time the sun rises behind Mount Tabor, you have left the grinding. You shoulder the clay jar, well fired. 2 handles. You carry it to the mouth of the village well, in the center of Nazareth, 3 minutes from your house. At the well, there are already 3 or 4 women. None of their names will survive. All wear the same coarse linen tunic. All cover their heads with a mantle, because that is how a woman goes out in public. Some are pregnant. Others have just lost a child. No one says it aloud. Women greet each other by the name of their husband. Your neighbors greet you. The wife of Joseph, the tekton. You lower the leather bucket on a rope. You pull it up full. Pour the water into the jar. 4 liters, maybe 5, 15 kilos when full. And you carry it back, on your shoulder, because on your head it weighs more on the neck, and your neck is already tired from the grinding. When you return from the well, Joseph is already in the courtyard. He has tied the short work tunic, the one he wears for walking. He has dipped yesterday's hard bread in oil, eats a dried fig. You look at him, 50-something years old. He is no longer the man who first took your hand when you were 13. His hands, too, are changing, thicker, more calloused. Joseph is leaving for Sepphoris, 6 kilometers north of Nazareth. An hour on foot, King Herod Antipas is rebuilding the whole city. Walls, a theater, a forum, villas for the Roman officials. And there goes Joseph, with 2 other men from the village, to lay stone upon stone in the project of the puppet king who governs Galilee on Rome's account. He kisses you on the forehead. You watch him go, and you know you will not see him again until night. 12 hours, every day, every day. When you knead the dough in the wooden basin, you will remember, as every woman in Israel remembers each time she touches flour, what the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 8, verse 8, says, "A land of wheat, barley, vines, fig trees, and pomegranates, a land of olive oil and honey, the 7 species, the 7 foods that Moses named when the children of Israel entered the promised land, the 7 that define you as a woman of this people. And you, kneading barley in your house in Nazareth, 13 centuries later, are fulfilling that verse without thinking of it. The land keeps its promise, and your hands are the ones that pass it into the body of your family. When the neighbors speak of your husband, they use a Greek word, the same word that 21 years from now, the neighbors of this same village will use to speak of your eldest son. The word is tekton. In the Gospel of Mark, chapter 6, verse 3, it is written this way, "Is not this the tekton, the son of Mary?" The usual translation is carpenter, but the Greek says something wider. Tekton is not the one who makes chairs in a workshop. It is the one who builds, who works wood, stone, sometimes metal, a construction laborer. And you, Mary, know it without needing anyone to explain. Because each night you wash Joseph's hands, and there is no sawdust on his fingers. There is stone dust. The children wake one by one: James, Joseph, Simon, Judas, and the girls, your daughters, whose names no gospel will bother to write. 5 mouths to feed, plus your own, plus Joseph's when he returns. Jesus, the eldest, is the last to rise, 12 years old. He has just come back from Jerusalem. 3 months ago, during Passover, you lost him for 3 days in the temple. When you found him, he was seated among the teachers, listening and asking questions. Luke, chapter 2, verse 49. He said to you, "Why were you looking for me? Did you not know that I must be in my Father's house?" And you, the woman who brought him into the world, did not understand. Luke says it without softening. They did not understand the words he spoke to them. So now, 3 months later, in the kitchen of your house, you watch him sit on the floor and ask you what any 12-year-old asks. "Mother, is there bread?" If you are living this alongside Mary, the cold of the stone, the weight of the jar, the worry for a son who unsettles you, tap subscribe. On Rich Bible Stories, every week you step into the body of another person who was there. Women, men, the unnamed. No sermon, no polish. While you knead flour with water and a bit of sourdough from the day before, 6 kilometers to the north, Joseph lifts a block of white limestone with 2 other men. Sepphoris is rising. The Roman villas gleam. The theater opens itself stroke by stroke of the chisel, and stone dust enters the lungs of your husband, and the lungs of the men who walk in each day from Nazareth. Some of those same men, not all, will die early of respiratory disease. The modern word is silicosis. In your time, it does not exist. The effect does. And you here in Nazareth do not know it, but you sense it when you hear him cough in the middle of the night. The archaeologists of the 21st century, led by Ken Dark of the University of Reading, excavated for 14 years beneath a church in Nazareth. Below it, they found a 1st century stone house. It measured about 50 square meters, partly cut into the limestone of the hillside. It had an upper level for the family and a lower level for the animals, exactly like yours. The recovered pottery dated to the 1st century. Not a single piece of Roman luxury ware, not a single decorated lamp. Only simple Jewish vessels, made in the village itself. In the same Galilean valley, in a village called Meiron, anthropologists analyzed the tombs of the inhabitants. Half of those buried before the age of 18 had died before 5. Half. The bones of adult women showed severe wear on the knees, the wrists, the lumbar vertebrae, the body of the quern, the body of the well, the body you are inhabiting now. And when you, Mary, look at your 5 living children playing in the courtyard, you know, without anyone explaining it, that this is not normal, that it is luck, that it is precarious. But do not romanticize this. The reality was harder. Here are the numbers. 1. Half the Galilean infants of your generation died before turning 1, the other half before 15. 2. To raise 2 or 3 adult children, a woman needed 6 to 8 pregnancies. Most of your fertile years, you spend pregnant or nursing. 3. The life expectancy of a rural woman in Galilee is 30 years. You turn 30 this year, Mary. Your body knows it already. Your knees creak when you kneel at the quern. 4. Grinding grain takes 3 to 4 hours of your day, every day, for 40 or 50 years, if you reach them. 5. Your name survives. It survives because you bore the boy eating bread on your floor right now. But your sisters, Matthew says it in chapter 13, verse 56, have no name. The evangelist names them in the plural. And all his sisters, are they not with us? Plural, without a single name. That is what Catechism did not tell you. Your name is the exception. The rule, without romance, is forgetting. Catechism taught you Mary of Nazareth was holy because pure, immaculate, untouchable. But inside her body, you feel the opposite. You are holy by labor, by repetition, by the act of kneeling each dawn to grind a grain that no one will applaud. Holiness is not the halo of an altarpiece. It is the flower under the nail, the callus on the knuckle, the lower back pain at 30. That is what makes Jesus possible. And then it happens. The sun is high. The bread comes out of the taboon, hot, crisp, dark on the outside, soft on the inside. You break it with your hands, the hands that 6 hours ago turned the quern stone, and lay it on a linen cloth at the center of the mat. The children sit around, James, Joseph, Simon, Judas, the girls, and Jesus. Jesus takes a piece. He does not pray first, that Joseph will do when he arrives. He only eats, chews, swallows. He looks at you, and he says, "Mother, may I have more?" And you smile. Give him another piece. And in that gesture, the one you have made 1,000 times, giving bread to your child, there is something your body registers, though your mind does not understand. He puts the bread in his mouth, chews slowly. He has a gap between his front teeth. He lost one last month playing with Simon by the well. He sucks his floury thumb, wipes it on the back of his hand, on his tunic. The gestures of a boy, the gestures of any boy in Nazareth. Those hands taking the bread. The day they lost you in Jerusalem, they stayed in the temple. And those hands, 20 years from now, will give bread to 5,000 men on the shore of the lake, and then to 12 at a high table in Jerusalem, and then to the whole world. But you do not know it yet. You will know it later, when it is already late. The Gospel of John, chapter 6, verse 35, will record from the lips of that son of yours, 20 years later, this sentence: I am the bread of life. Bread, the same word you, his mother, just used to call him to the table. Come, there is bread. It is not a metaphor invented out of nothing. It is a metaphor built in a kitchen in Nazareth, over thousands of mornings, by a woman who knelt every day to grind grain before the sun rose. The bread of life had a recipe before it became a declaration, and the recipe was yours, Mary. Barley, water, salt, sourdough from the day before, hot taboon, 12 minutes. The sun has set. Joseph has returned from Sepphoris. They have eaten. They have prayed. The children have fallen asleep. The goats are below. The donkey is breathing. The house is warm with the breath of 8 bodies. And you, at last, are still. You look at the lamp, the same one you lit before dawn. The wick barely gives light. The oil is spent. You rise. You pinch it out with 2 fingers. A small sound. A thread of smoke. The smell of the wick stays floating. It smells almost the same as 14 hours ago, but it is not the same. It is the same smell, transformed by an entire day, by the hands that ground, by the feet that went to the well, by the bread that fed 6 mouths. You look at your hands in the dimness, white with flour. There is a fine cut on the knuckle of your thumb. You made it this morning on the edge of the quern. You do not even remember when it happened. Tomorrow, when you kneel again, it will sting, and you will forget it again. And you, Mary of Nazareth, close your eyes in the dark, beside Joseph, beside the boy of 12 who one day will say he is the bread of life. You do not know it yet. You only know that tomorrow, before dawn, you will light this lamp again, and kneel again at the quern. You close your eyes. You breathe. When you open them, you have returned. But something of that day stays with you, forever. On rich Bible stories, every week you step into the body of someone who was there. Most of them, like Mary's sisters, lost their names forever. We put words where Scripture kept silence, with archaeology, with data, without sermon. Subscribe if you want to keep making this journey with me, and leave me a comment with this. Who in your life do you owe the bread that no one saw baked?